And methyl sulfonylmethane and its discovery based on the oxidation of DMSO back, this is, decades ago at this point, and its ability to neutralize inflammation is really one of the great discoveries and one of the least expensive discoveries in this field ever. And it may be that the literal low price of MSM, methyl sulfonylmethane, may be the reason why we don't hear more about it. It's because it's so cheap, so easy. Just add it to your water, take some capsules, and get going. And that record of MSM and its power to break down something that's always, by the way, associated with chronic inflammatory conditions, namely calcification, the production of bad calcium in the muscle tissue, at the bone level, in the tendons, or wherever it's found. For example, if it's in the arteries, it's called plaque. These plaques are associated with being at the root cause of inflammation, and MSM dissolves bad calcium in our system, turns it into calcium sulfate, and makes it soluble so we can actually excrete it, and may even take bad calcium and turn it into good calcium, which can have a positive effect. The dosage on MSM has to be, in the beginning, maybe 2,500 milligrams a day, but really we need to get up higher, 5,000, 7,500 milligrams, once we allow it to work on us. And it works on us over a period of months. We don't ever want to start anything at very high dosage, always kind and gentle and gently moving into it. And I've got a good friend of mine now. Listen to this, Joe. This is unbelievable. This guy's taking 30,000 milligrams of MSM for his rheumatoid arthritis, and that's the dosage he needs to take in order to feel the complete relief of his pain.
Yeah, so he's getting benefit. And are there any side effects that people have with this, or toxicity?
There are side effects. One side effect is that if you take MSM, it can detoxify you. And that may be too much to begin with. So you got to start small. You just eke into these things step by step. There's also the problem of sulfa drug allergies, which I'm sure you're well aware of, that people when they're children who are given sulfa drugs and their body reacted allergically to them may have trouble with MSM, because MSM is a type of sulfur. It is not a drug. It's a natural compound that exists in all trees. It exists in every living thing. It's very highly concentrated in foods like aloe vera. And if you don't like taking the supplement, you can always just switch over to aloe vera products, which contain MSM in its natural form. So, the side effects are the same side effects as apply to any supplement. Start slow, because it can have it can kind of unlock a box, and there may be toxins in that box. But step by step, as we go deeper into it, we can begin to soften our digestive tissue, and it goes deeper and softens up the leathery tissue inside. It starts breaking up the plaques, and eventually you'll see changes not only in your liver and pancreas and those subtle things, but also in your skin, your hair, your nails, and all areas where you have inflammation, in particular your joints.
So this is something you take personally every day, or?
I took MSM in massive dosages, of course starting small, for many, many years, until I had broken up all the scar tissue that was associated with that injury I was talking about. And now I take it just kind of for fun. It's not something I'm, super needing of right now.
So you take it,
but I like it.
And are there any specific characteristics that one might need to be aware of when finding a source of this, or is it relatively generic, like vitamin D? As long as it's vitamin D3, it doesn't really matter who's selling it or where you get it from. It's pretty much all the same. But other supplements, of course, the quality is a very significant aspect of finding a product that's going to work.
Right, exactly. I mean, quality is always a concern. The best types of MSM are wood pulp MSM. That's something to look for. That's tree-derived MSM. It's not necessary that it be that way. If you want to get started, start with what you can find, and then if you're going to upgrade to different quality later, you look for the tree-derived MSM products.
Okay, terrific. All right, so what other tricks do you have up your sleeve for inflammation challenges?
Well, I think we can probably not go any further without talking about vitamin C.
Okay.
Right. Vitamin C is a tremendous antioxidant. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's a super important for rebuilding collagen and connective tissue. It's a healer, essentially. We've heard a lot about it from Linus Pauling's work that he did on vitamin C and the common cold. I'm sure you remember those from the early 70s. You probably read those when they came out. Is that right, Joe?
That's right.
Yeah, and those were breakthrough books in opening up our consciousness of all of Western civilization to vitamin C, but vitamin C really, maybe it affects the common cold by about 3%, 3% improvement, which isn't much. What we really want vitamin C for is to rebuild our connective tissue, to get our tissue to be healthy, and that's the anti-inflammatory effect. And generally, you want to take your MSM and vitamin C together if you can. I always prefer the natural vitamin Cs that are on the market today. For example, acerola cherry vitamin C, rosehip vitamin C, because it's the real vitamin C. The best, according to the research and Dr. James Duke and his research on vitamin C, the best of the vitamin C botanicals, which is a fancy word for these vitamin Cs that are made out of the whole plant, is camu berry, CAMU berry. And I put in my superfoods book the details that Dr. James Duke has put up on his website about camu berry and its anti-inflammatory power. And he actually ranks it as number one anti-inflammatory, which is amazing. I love camu berry. I think MSM works a little bit better because you can dose a little higher on it. If you get to the high dosage of vitamin C, you start having a little bit of diarrhea and those kinds of side effects. So start small again, build up big. Maybe you want to work up to 3,000 milligrams a day of a vitamin C supplement, and preferably a vitamin C plant-based supplement or botanical.
Now, vitamin C, or ascorbic acid, is this chemical name. An extract is really useful, as you mentioned, and it can cause a side effect if you take it orally, primarily because it's not being absorbed and it stays in the gut and causes this osmotic diarrhea in high doses. The higher you go, the more likely, and invariably it will cause it in almost anyone if you take a high enough dose. But I'm wondering if you have any experience with a liposomal type of vitamin C, because it's my understanding that when you attach it to a liposome, the absorption goes from somewhat under 10% to pretty much 100%, and even beyond getting into the bloodstream, it actually goes into the cell where it's needed, and it performs even better than intravenous ascorbic acid administration. So it seems that's like the new forefront of vitamin C.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're talking about like ester Cs that are attached to fat molecules.
Well, it's not ester C. I don't believe that ester C is a liposomal molecule. It's actually, my understanding is that ester C is somewhat oxidized, and it's one I've not recommended in the past. But I could be wrong there, but that's my understanding. No, these are specific newer liposomal formulations, and in some cases maybe even nano formulations. Not the dangerous nano size, but a smaller form that gets it into the cells.
That's awesome. I'm just on the periphery studying that. I've actually been getting into liposomal B complex vitamins. Have you looked into that?
No, I haven't. But actually, when I was at at the longevity conference in March, Truth Calkins, who's just another amazing resource like you, was actually, we were discussing that. And I think he's going to be presenting at your next conference too.
The Truth is amazing, and he is, one of Los Angeles's leading herbalists, and himself a miracle story of healing. And one of the things I love about Truth is he just gives the whole thing to you. He'll lay it all out before you. One of the wonderful things that we've all seen with this anti-inflammatory revolution, by the way, that Truth really turned me on way back when. It's been about 8 or 9, 10 years. Is the next piece here that we should get into is these medicinal mushrooms. Wow. And that's a story. And I do want to say this about this chronic inflammatory conditioning that we're all, experiencing later in life, is that it appears to be that it's related to certain acute infections. And it's not just that the tissue is damaged due to oxidation, or it's not just aging. It's also acute infections that are going on. Could be viral, could be calcium-forming organism infections, and things that are at the very perimeter of what we're understanding right now. But we do know that medicinal mushrooms are truly in the original kind of idea of where we were going with the antibiotic concept. They really are what it's about. I mean, if we want to get our immune system to ramp up and be able to fight off very long-standing chronic conditions, these medicinal mushrooms, including reishi mushroom, cordyceps, agaricus blazei, the wonderful shaga mushroom, my personal favorite, and others, should be part of our routine and something we should be aware of and start getting into if we're new to this information. Yeah. Because they can get in there and break up some of these long-standing infections which show up as quote-unquote inflammation.